This is a bookable summary of the book Noise by Daniel Kahneman, Olivier Sibony, and Cass R. Sunstein. Put yourself in the position of holding a stopwatch. After exactly 10 seconds, stop the watch without looking at it. Practicing this a few times in a row will make it nearly impossible to hit 10 seconds on the dot. The distance can be a bit short, or it can be a little long. In some cases, you're off by milliseconds. Sometimes you're off by a whole second, or even more. Whatever the case may be, you'll wind up with errors with no discernible pattern and no obvious cause. Noise, or random errors in judgment, is what is happening here. You are about to learn, however, that variations in judgment like these can have far more serious consequences than your errors in this simple stopwatch experiment. Welcome to the strange world of noise. Unrelated and unpredictable factors can have an alarming impact on human judgment. According to a 2003 paper evocatively titled "Clouds Make Nerds Look Good," on cloudier days, college admissions officers pay more attention to grades and scores, while on sunnier days, they are more sensitive to non-academic qualities. Meaning that on the day of your interview, the weather might have made the difference. Perhaps the admissions officer's decision had nothing to do with the weather, and more with the interviewees that preceded you. But wait, other irrelevant factors may also have influenced the decision. Let's do another thought experiment, this time at a carnival. You and a friend are both terrible shots, but your friend's shots cluster together, but not on the bullseye. Whenever we make errors systematically, we call that bias. Day to day, we employ the term to describe prejudice for or against certain groups of people. In the field of psychology, the term is often used to identify cognitive mechanisms that skew our judgments. We call this bias a cognitive mechanism that causes us to bend our judgments towards a desired outcome, making us interpret evidence in a skewed way. This kind of bias can have life-changing consequences, such as the variability of asylum decisions in one Miami immigration court. Now, let's turn to another area prone to noise. Predictions. A judge deciding bail faces a mighty responsibility. A team, led by computation and behavior researcher Sendel Mulanathan, created an algorithm that produced bail judgments and found that it would have simultaneously lowered the jail population and crime committed by released defendants by 24 to 42%. Studies have found that rudimentary formulas that consider only two factors, the defendant's age and the number of court dates they've missed, also outperformed human judges. This is because algorithms and back-of-the-envelope math are free from internal signals, perceptions of the world, and emotional rewards. Why would experts with years of training and experience fall a distant third to algorithms and back-of-the-envelope math? The answer is simple. Judges are human. When we attempt to predict the future, we're seeking closure. It's an attempt to solve a mental puzzle. And when we come up with an answer, we experience an internal signal that says, yes, that's it. A satisfying prediction coheres to the way we see the world. And the power of this emotional reward often blinds us to basic limitation of predictions: objective ignorance. We don't know what we don't know, and what we do know might be wrong, incomplete, or misleading. Rules and algorithms are also ignorant. Storytellers ignore noise because it doesn't add anything to the narrative. If you're finding this video to be enjoyable, show your support by liking it and subscribing to my channel for even more fantastic content. Your encouragement means everything to me and drives me to keep creating videos for you. You might have noticed that the justice system and college admission systems begin with a story. The human mind loves a story, and information that works within a story tends to stick. The psychological insight of recent decades has explored our deep attachment to the narrative. The human mind, we've learned, understands the world by making stories to explain what we observe. For example, psychologists have identified the fundamental attribution error, our habit of crediting or blaming people for outcomes better explained by mere circumstance. When our reality is challenged, the psychological mechanism of naive realism bolsters our narratives by ruling out troublesome counter-narratives. And when the truly unexpected occurs, the mind works to bring it within the valley of the normal. Noise, on the other hand, can only be observed statistically. It may feel like bias when experienced firsthand, but it is actually random, chaotic behavior. Averaging multiple independent judges can help cancel out noise. Before moving on, let's just quickly recap what we've learned so far, which is this. Wherever there's human judgment, there'll be noise, and sometimes that noise can have alarming, life-changing consequences. So, that naturally leads to the question, what can we do about it? How do we turn down the noise? To begin answering this question, let's go back to the fall of 1906, when Francis Galton, a polymath, and cousin to famed evolutionist Charles Darwin, visited a county fair in Plymouth and listened to 800 villagers give their best estimates of an ox's weight. Galton noticed something surprising. The mean of the villagers' estimate was nearly perfect, only off by a single pound. Galton had stumbled across a phenomenon now known as the wisdom of crowds effect, which works best when independent judgments from multiple judges are averaged out. However, the wisdom of the crowd comes with some essential caveats, such as each judge must be independent of the others. In order to fight noise, you need to first make it visible. Marvin E. Frankel, a U.S. district judge, realized that he could send a convicted bank robber to prison for up to 25 years, or 1 day. Frankel published a book in 1973 showcasing disparities in sentencing for substantially similar crimes. Frankel led a research team that asked 208 federal judges to sentence criminal defendants from 16 fictional vignettes. The results prove shocking variability, not consistency. Determine your bullseye, gather your judges, and present them with scenarios. Map out the judges' answers in relation to your bullseye, and you have a diagnostic portrait of the noise in your institution. Discipline and prevention are key elements of decision hygiene. To prevent pathogens from entering your body, the lead surgeon lathers her hands with soap and places them under hot water. By adopting decision hygiene, we can make our world substantially less noisy. The first step to develop decision hygiene is to learn how to stop and think statistically before making any important decision. This means avoiding the natural tendency to make a story of everything and instead framing every case in reference to a body of similar cases. While building a strong statistical framework, resist premature intuition. Instead, save the emotional reward for a judgment that jibes with a well-rounded view of what's most likely. Break tough cases into separate questions and hand them off to independent judges if possible. In order for noise reduction to stick, judges must support it. In 1984, Judge Frankel was victorious, and Congress enacted the Sentencing Reform Act. However, in 2005, the Supreme Court struck down the act, and a few years later, Harvard law professor Crystal Yang conducted an analysis of 4,000 criminal cases. In hindsight, Judge Frankel and his allies missed a crucial step in their campaign for noise reduction. They failed to make the judges agree on the ultimate purpose of judgment. The goal of judgment should be accuracy, not personal expression. Unlike literary criticism, competitive sport, filmmaking, or any other field where diversity in opinion and style breeds richness and growth, variability among experts judging substantially similar cases is a problem. When two radiologists independently read the same X-ray and arrive at different conclusions, one of them is wrong. In other words, when judges step up to the shooting arcade, they must first agree on the same bullseye. Once the judges agree that accuracy is the highest priority, the auditors should invite them to create the test scenarios. Failing to do so assures the audit will meet with hostile scrutiny. Next, the judges have to see the extent and cost of the noise. Kahneman discovered that insurance companies averaged a 55% difference in the premiums they set for customers. This noise cost the companies hundreds of millions of dollars. Finally, when instituting decision hygiene, judges must balance reducing noise with other costs, such as accounting for a defendant's history, crime severity, and rehabilitation capacity. Noise reduction isn't glamorous work, but it exacts a terrible cost. We hope this video provided valuable insights and information for you. How do you treat noise? Ignore or turn it down? Let us know in the comments. And if you learned something new in this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. Thank you, and until next time.